Hello. Thank you for joining on the broadcast today. I'm Claiborne Holtzman from Remedy This Naturally, 1140 Benvenue Road. It is our desire to bring to you information about God's pharmacy and what can be done in our particular lives to make it have a better quality of life and enjoy it to the fullest. What is it we need to do? What is it we need not do? Well, today's program, and the day is February the 1st, 2021. And we're getting into the months already, folks, that time is moving on. And what I want to do today is help us understand a little bit more about health, healing, natural approach, home remedies, and herbal remedies. And what I want to share with you is that people think there is a contradiction or a wide spectrum between herbal remedies and pharmaceutical remedies. Well, what I'm going to do today, I'm going to share with you noted information about people's pharmacy. You know, we got about 50% of adults take prescription medication. 1 in 5 of them also take herbal supplements. 15 million of these people are at risk for an adverse reaction. So what are we going to do today to help make that so it doesn't become or continue to be a problem? Joe Graedon, he's a pharmacologist, and Teresa is a medical anthropologist. And they are America's most trusted healthcare authorities. You know, at the time, this book was written in 2001. So we're looking at this book that came out 20 years ago. And the information is good. At that time, they had already 9 books, including the best-selling The People's Pharmacy, have combined sales of more than 3 million way back when. They have a newspaper column, and you know, the neat thing about it, they're from Durham, North Carolina. Hey, nice to know we got these individuals that are reaching out to help us have a better understanding of life and health naturally. So, with that in mind, help us understand something. What's the difference between God's pharmacy, plant, kingdom, herbs, home remedies, and what is the difference with that and the pharmaceutical remedies? Well, what has happened is that, and I'm going to share a little bit about the background of these individuals and why they're so wrapped up in making sure that we don't lose the power of God's plants. And we know what the deal is. The deal is very simple. You can't patent God's pharmacy, but you can patent a man-made pharmaceutical and be able to keep it so you can have your own little brand product and people can't copy it because it's patent. So with that in mind, think about what it is that we can do to help understand a little bit more about God's pharmacy. The introduction of the book here, Joe Graedon's grandfather was a pharmacist around the turn of the century. Herbs were the tool of his trade. So as a pharmacist at the turn of the century, 1900s that herbal plants, roots, were the tool of the trade of the pharmacist. He used the mortar and pestle and his knowledge of plants to create herbal combinations to heal a variety of ailments. So here we go. The pharmacist used to take and make these things with a mortar and pestle and make them available for the clients as to maybe what the doctor recommended they have, and use to be able to get the body back into basic, what we call homeostasis. And you know, the mortar and pestle is that little thing, you see it on the pharmaceutical emblem when you go into the drugstore, and that's what they used to use. But now it's basically opening up a bottle or a bag and putting the chemical made pills, liquid, whatever it may be, available to the person that needs them for a unbalanced or imbalanced body. Aspirin had just been invented. And most of the medicines we take for granted today, they were not even done there. They were not even available at the turn of the century. When Joe G. went to graduate school in pharmacology at the University of Michigan, 70 years later, he was taught that biological medicines were a thing of the past. So we see Granddad, into and using the botanical medicines. And then 70 years later, when his son gets ready to go and study pharmacology, they tell him that botanical medicines are a thing of the past, are a quaint relic of bygone era. The pharmacognosist, it means medical plant expert, were perceived by the pharmacologists as irrelevant dinosaurs. So we don't need them no more. We're smarter than God, and we can create what we need to keep man's body balanced. So what happened? What I'm trying to do is give you some background about the book, how it came about, the author, and what they were trying to accomplish, and that it is important that we don't lose what God has given us and we kick God to the curb. If you'll notice at the bottom of the screen, it says remedy this naturally, and my name, Claiborne Holtzman. The reason being, I was introduced to this almost 50 years ago, and that the plant-based botanicals were still important. And so the medical plant experts were perceived by the pharmacologists as irrelevant dinosaurs. So what do? So in Mexico, when Joe taught pharmacology to medical students, and where Terry did her doctoral research in medical anthropology, people used plants for healing. And you will also note that there are a lot of plants that are used throughout the world. And if you go to Europe, plants are actually patented, and they are used, what they can do, what the outcome can be for them. And we need to realize that other parts of the world still use and realize the value of plants. The European pharmacology is there to help us be able to use the plants. And actually, if you needed some plants and you needed something for Europe, the FDA will allow them in. Now, don't hold me as to which ones they don't, but they still work with the pharmacology or the botanicals from Europe and realize they have benefit. So therefore, if someone needs them, then there is a good chance they could be imported into the country. The herbalists and the curadors of wealth of knowledge about the botanical medicines around them. We have learned that the gulf separating herbs from manufacturing drugs is not wise. People metabolize medicines using the same enzymes that humans have evolved over thousands of years of adaptation to the plants in their environment. So, what they're doing in this introduction to this book, it says, since the first publication of this book back in 1999, there have been a drastic increase in the number of scientific and clinical studies of herbals, medicines published. And they're there. You can look for them. Some elegant research explains how St. John's wort, for example, alters the metabolism of many medications. These studies demonstrated that none of us can afford to be casual or sloppy when it comes to using botanicals. It's important. So that's why you need to make sure that your doctor is aware of any herbal supplements that you may be taking, so it does not have a negative interaction with the pharmaceuticals that you are taking. Many health professionals may not have studied such treatments or have the time to keep up with the herbal literature. And so the reason they have written this book is our goal in writing this book is to encourage people to do their own homework about the herbs. Be sure to discuss these self-care approaches with a physician before combining them with your prescription drugs. Need to know what's going into the body. Need to know, because some of the stuff can have an interaction that is not positive. It says in the first edition of the People's Pharmacy, and that goes way back, folks, to 1976. One of the most popular sections was on home remedies. They heard from a lot of people about their favorite and continue to write about self-care approaches in subsequent editions and in our syndicated newspaper column. This book that we're talking about to help us understand, pharmacists and anthropologists look at herbs. It says that developed into the country over 2 decades, it is a return to our roots for Joe, to the herbal pharmacy of his grandfather, and for Terry to the healing traditions of people around the world. So what we want to do is we want to talk about People's Pharmacy. We want to talk about the Graedons and the home and herbal remedies. What I'm going to do is that Joe and Terry has favorite home remedies in the book, and we're going to talk about those on this broadcast. And we're going to share with you that there can be a home remedy or an herbal remedy that can be beneficial and helpful, but you need to make sure you understand that in order to be your own physician, do you need to be educated and taught and have. So what we're trying to do is get information out. Help people understand that home and herbal remedies have a place, and they are the original pharmacology. Just to help you understand it, the book we're talking about, okay, People's Pharmacy, is full of fascinating home remedies and herbal therapies people have shared with the Graedons, and because of that, they've had some favorite home remedies that they like. These are treatments we have either tried ourselves with good results or heard about repeatedly from readers over the years. In some cases, there is a scientific research to back up the folk wisdom of Dr. Mom. So, there is medical research for some of the stuff to back up what's going on. Most of the time, however, it is practical experience and common sense that help relieve mild, everyday ailments. And so, let's talk about a remedy. Let's talk about something that has been used with success in the herbal home remedy that the Graedons like, and they are willing to put it in their book and share it with you. And let's do a disclaimer, for it is very important we do that the information that you're receiving is, you need to make sure, okay, listen very simple. Listen simple? No, be attentive to the simple. This book is not intended as a substitute for medical advice of physicians. Neither is this program you're watching me on. The reader should regularly consult a physician in matters related to his or her health, and particularly in respect to any symptoms that may require diagnosis or medical treatment. Home remedies are generally untested and should not be employed as a substitute for proper medical care. Any symptoms that persist or get worse should be attended to by a physician. Herbs have both benefits and risk. Information about long-term side effects and interaction is incomplete. You, the listener of this program, should not assume this because of an adverse reaction or interaction is not mentioned in the book. The combination is therefore safe. In other words, just because it's mentioned in the book don't mean it's safe. You've got to have some good noggins in thinking about what you're doing. If you suspect that you should be experiencing an adverse reaction from an herb or combination of herbs and drugs, please consult a knowledgeable health professional properly. And that should have been promptly. All right. Let's get into the meat of the program. Gin-soaked raisins for arthritis. Gin-soaked raisins for arthritis. You know that the Graedons got bukus of people writing to them, and one of the things they have received more mail about the raisin remedy than any other home remedy we have written about. How about that? If people are using it and getting positive results and willing to share it, then it may be something that we should pay attention to. And they come out with this and says, we don't know how it got started or why it works, but many readers swear it relieves arthritis pain. And so what are we talking about? Ingredients on the raisin arthritis thing, golden raisins and gin. So we want the golden raisins and gin. Empty the raisins into a bowl and pour just enough gin to cover the raisins. Allow the gin to evaporate. It'll take about a week. And then place the moist raisins in a jar with a lid and eat 9 raisins a day. They go well on cereal. And if you want to know about other things about arthritis and things natural, the one about the pharmacist saying, hey, look, we got enough testimony about this that it worked. We don't really know why or how it works, but the testimonies, and there again, it may work for them or him or her, and it may not work for you. But what have you got to lose if you're suffering from inflammation? And arthritis got you inflammation. So let me repeat to you what the formula was for the raisins and arthritis. First of all, purchase some golden raisins. Get a box of those and get some gin. For you who watch the show and you don't want to be coming out of the liquor store, get somebody else to pick it up for you. Or just ask to borrow some of theirs. I hear you. All right. Ingredients: golden raisin and gin. Empty raisins into a bowl and pour in just enough gin to cover the raisins. Allow the gin to evaporate. Normally takes a little over a week. And then place the moist raisins in a jar with a lid. Eat 9 raisins a day. And you can actually put them on your cereal. Why 9? Don't know. Why golden raisins? Don't know. But it worked for a lot of people. Now, black pepper for cuts. Most of the time we don't talk about black pepper and cuts. We talk about cayenne pepper and cuts. But a lot of you don't want cayenne pepper to be around, so you don't talk about the cayenne pepper because it's too hot. Well, cayenne pepper, we talked about people who have ulcers, taking cayenne pepper has stopped them in the past. And we've talked about, I love my cayenne pepper. Even if I nick myself shaving, cut my hand, or whatever it may be, I will use my cayenne pepper regularly to stop bleeding. Okay? It's one of the main things in my emergency kit. So we're talking about black pepper for cuts. Let's give credit where credit's due. Thanks to Neil Hurd and Wendell Dean for this contribution. Wendell is a wood carver and a scroller. His carving buddies always keep a packet of black pepper on hand for times when they cut themselves on sharp tool. Neil, her sister, and brother-in-law Wendell were traveling through Yellowstone in an RV. One evening, a mug fell out of the cupboard and gashed Wendell's head. Fell out of the cupboard and hit his head. The cut was long, but not deep, and Wendell asked Neil to put pepper on it. The bleeding stopped almost instantly, and the cut healed with barely a scar. You may want to keep some black pepper handy in the kitchen. I think most of us do, because I love it fresh ground. And take a packet of pepper on your next camping trip. Not only does the bleeding stop quickly, the wound heals cleanly without scarring. So, two things we talked about: gin-soaked raisins. We're talking about black pepper for minor cuts, and so there again, I'm throwing in outside of the book here with Joe and Terry, my cayenne pepper for stopping bleeding. Now, how about this one? Archway coconut macaroon cookies for diarrhea. It says, you got to have a little sense of humor to do some of this stuff. This is one of the tastiest and most unusual home remedies we have ever collected. Donald Agar has suffered from Crohn's disease for many years. Diarrhea was a constant problem. By accident, he discovered that Archway coconut macaroon cookies helped control the diarrhea better than any medicine he had taken. Lots of people have written to us, and eating coconut macaroons has stopped the diarrhea. This is the essence of the home remedies. The discovery relied on serendipity, but Donald also paid attention to how his body responded. We cannot promise that these cookies will work for everyone with serious diarrhea, but for those, they seem to be amazingly helpful. And for mild diarrhea, there is no reason not to try it. That was from, here we go, we'll bring you up to date. Some of you flipping the channels. People's Pharmacy, showing why it's important for pharmacologists and pharmacists to know that there can be home remedies and herbal remedies to do the same thing that the medicine is created to do. All right. Vinegar and Vicks for fungus. Vinegar, we know a lot about vinegar. We spend a lot of time sharing information about Bragg's apple cider vinegar and how well it works and what it does and the benefits we can get from it. There are so many uses of vinegar, it boggles the mind. Many people take apple cider vinegar with honey or fruit juice to ease the pain of arthritis. Now, if you can come to remedy this naturally, we've already got the Bragg's vinegar mixed in with the cayenne pepper, the honey. It's already there. It's in a quart jar. Shake it up, use it, take it as a, some people use it as a weight loss. Some people use it as a daily tonic, whichever one you want to use it for. But many people take apple cider vinegar with honey or fruit juice to ease the pain of arthritis. So then we're talking about two things of arthritis already. We talked about gin-soaked raisins. We're talking about vinegar. Because vinegar is acidic and it can discourage fungus, and has been recommended 1 part vinegar to 5 parts tepid water as eardrops to discourage swimmer's ear. Okay, there's another thing thrown in there. 1 part vinegar, 5 parts tepid water as eardrops to discourage swimmer's ear. Athlete's foot, nail fungus, can also respond to vinegar soaks. We heard from foot care nurse Jane R. Kelly of Richmond, Massachusetts, that a regular foot bath containing cider or vinegar can help overcome toe fungus. The recipe, I was waiting for you to get your pencil and paper. You say, wait a minute, there he goes again. You're getting ready to get up, go somewhere. Just sit still and let's get this thing taken care of. Okay, you ready now? We are too. The recipe, 1 part vinegar to 2 parts warm water, allows 6 weeks for improvement. And I would recommend just soaking that toe fungus in nail fungus on the foot. Some people have it on the hand, but 1 part vinegar and 6 parts water. I'm sorry, 6 weeks. My eyes went the wrong direction. The recipe, let me just read this sentence. 1 part vinegar to 2 parts warm water, 2 parts warm water. Allow it 6 weeks for improvement. Be consistent with tenacity, okay? Nurse Kelly was also the first to alert us to the value of Vicks Vapor Rub to treat nail fungus. We have since heard that many readers that apply Vicks twice a day on and around fungus-infested nails allow them to grow out healthy. Vicks contains essential oils which antifungal activity. Now, think about it. Vicks Vapor Rub, right? It has essential oils. Essential oils come from herbs, plants. Here again, help us understand. God's pharmacy can benefit us as individuals since we're created by the same creator that created the plants. He did all them before he made us. And he saw it was good, so he had to do something that would value his creation. Let's see, other people shared that Vicks Vapor Rub has a variety of problems ranging from mosquito bites, wasp stings, to tennis elbow, paper cuts, dandruff, some dermatitis, hemorrhoids. Please do not use Vicks Vapor Rub internally. Okay? Do not use Vicks internally, please. Let's talk about something else. How about headaches? Do you know that peppers are beneficial for headaches? And you need to understand that it's hot peppers that we're talking about. You ready for this one? Isn't this great? To be able to understand that the creation of the plants were put there to help keep us in balance so we can do and be the best we can be. We deserve it because we're made in the image and likeness of God. Yep. Not long ago, we heard from a fellow in South Carolina who was astonished that a steaming, spicy seafood gumbo stopped a recurrent migraine headache instantly. A number of other people have reported success with similar approaches. One woman prefers Chinese hot and sour soup, extra spicy, but another finds a can of chicken gumbo works. A couple has found salsa or tortilla chips can be helpful. We suspect that the capsicum in chili peppers is the most important part of this remedy. Researchers have tested capsicum and found it effective for some headaches. So research has been done on it. It didn't say all headaches, it said some headaches. Equal surprising is salsa for psoriasis. Andrew Flynn suffered from his skin condition for over 30 years. His elbow and knees were covered with red, rough plaque and silver scales. His back and his chest were also affected. The strongest prescription steroid creams were only partially effective. At age 42, Andy developed a taste for hot, spicy food. He started eating salsa almost every day and graduated from mild to medium to hot. And I would suggest doing it that way. To his amazement, the psoriasis started to disappear. When he stopped eating hot peppers as a test, the psoriasis returned. Needless to say, he resumed the salsa habit, and the psoriasis again receded. Other people have had similar experience with that. So, there again, you notice that when trying this, he did something very important. Started out with warm salsa, mild, medium, then got to the hot. Before you try it out, okay? Got that, hot peppers. Now, let's talk about treating colds with herbs. You know, colds, common cold. Okay? We love these remedies and use them whenever we feel a cold coming on. The first came to us from a radio listener in the hills of where else but West Virginia. But originated with her grandmother in India. Grind about half an inch of fresh ginger root into a paste and place in a mug. Add boiling water and let steep for several minutes. Strain the clear liquid into another mug, sweeten and sip. We found our symptoms start to subside within about 20 minutes. We do this in the morning and the evening and find our colds usually get better by the second day. Yes, I will go back over that. Okay. Treating colds with herbs. In this particular one that came from a couple that lived in West Virginia, but this one did not originate in the hills of West Virginia. It heals with the lady's grandmother from India. And what grandmama did and passed on this recipe was grind about a half inch of fresh ginger root into a paste and place in a mug. Okay? Take the ginger, been ground, put it in a mug, and then you put boiling water and just let it seep. Then you just let it cool. It doesn't hurt anything. Just wait a while. And then what you do is you strain the liquid out of the ground up ginger into another mug, and you sip the ginger water. Now, and with that, they say they usually start getting result on the second day, so it's probably more than 1 cup full that goes along with helping to ginger. I mean, we've got some ginger candy at Remedy This Naturally. I tell you what, it kind of feels that way when I'm using that candy. We have customers and clients that come into Remedy This Naturally specifically to get our ginger candy and look at all the different things that we have ginger in. Ginger is a powerful remedy for helping the body balance itself, and in this particular case, we're talking about the common cold. Okay. The ladies talked about the hot and sour soup and putting ginger into it. I love the hot and sour soup because there's certain times that your body will crave something. And when it does, listen to what it's saying. What is it that it's trying to get us to do, and make it happen for our embetterment. Isn't this neat? Isn't this really great to know that we're talking about the People's Pharmacy, home and herbal remedies, and we're talking about Joe and Teresa Graedon. He is a pharmacologist. She is a medical anthropologist, and see how they've taken, and him having a grandfather that was a pharmacist that used plants, put them in the mortar and pestle, and made them available for people who needed some form of medicine. And the medicine was from a plant created by the pharmacist. So there are things that can benefit us still today, and that's why I'm taking time to let you know that Remedy This Naturally has a purpose of helping us to keep alive a tradition that has been for a long thousands of years. Yeah. Not just the turn of the century where the pharmacologists and the pharmaceutical industry was going on, but they used then and were still using at the 1900s natural plants. Okay? Very good. Then I just wondered if I need. I'll just go ahead and read this one anyway because it's important. So we were tipped off to the benefit of Kang Yang, an adaptogenic pancula, by a reader of our newspaper column. He wanted to know if it really helps prevent colds. When we checked, we found several double-blind studies that indicate this herb medicine can stimulate the immune system and speed recovery of symptoms such as fever, sore throat, nasal congestion, tiredness, headaches seem to be in response to this treatment. We have tried it ourselves and we're pleased with the results. We didn't experience side effects, but dizziness, hives, and palpitations have been reported by other people. So, aromatherapy for hair loss. You know, I'm going to read this one. Maybe is my divine intervention coming into play that I need to treat my hair loss with aromatherapy. Let's read and see what the Graedons have to say about that. Getting personal now. Oh, Lord, yeah, it's getting personal. Okay, you ready? Let's go. When we read about this treatment of alopecia in the Archives of Dermatologists, November, and this goes way back, 1988, we were astonished. The Scottish dermatologist stated that cedarwood, lavender, thyme, and rosemary oils have hair growth properties and they promote hair growth. Okay, let me back up. We're talking about, and you probably want to put these in column like this because I'm going to give you the formula. So the first thing you write down is cedar wood. Underneath cedar wood, write lavender, thyme, and rosemary have helped hair growth. Okay? They actually studied a less common condition called alopecia, a patchy kind of baldness thought to be related to autoimmune disorder. Maybe I got to have an autoimmune disorder if I can get my hair to grow. Okay. Patients were enrolled in a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial. One group received the following recipe. Thyme, 2 drops. Augustus allophobia, Augustus, 3 drops. Rosemary, 3 drops. The oils were mixed in a carrier oil with a combination of jojoba and grapeseed. The oils were massaged into the scalp a minimum of 2 minutes. A warm towel was then wrapped around the head to aid absorption of the oils. Patients were advised to use their technique every night. The results were impressive. Of those who applied aromatherapy oils, 44% had improved after 7 months, compared to 15% to the control group. So, I'm going to find out if I want to do that or not. We'll think about it. But just letting you know that aromatherapy helps hair grow. Purple pectin for pain. This home remedy of arthritis pain has generated almost as much mail as the gin raisins. One newspaper column reader related that her grandmother had been using it for a long time. In 1945, the purchase Certo, C-E-R-T-O, in the canning section of our local grocery is thickening agent used for jams and jellies. Certo contains pectin, a natural ingredient found in the cell walls of plants. There are 2 recipes. 1, take 2 tablespoons of Certo, C-E-R-T-O, and 3 ounces of grape juice 3 times a day. As the pain disappeared, this can be reduced to 1 teaspoon in juice twice a day. An alternative approach is to use 1 tablespoon Certo and 8 ounces of grape juice once daily. So that's another. You know, it's amazing to me that there are multiple ways of taking and getting something taken care of. You know, we've talked about 3 different arthritis. Helping to rescind, I guess. Well, this one may be more important for your neighbor than yourself, because normally when you're by yourself, you can get away with it. But when you're in company, you need to make sure you kind of be glad that we're going to talk about you can use fentanyl for flatulence. For those that don't know the big word flatulence, it means passing gas. We have received numerous solutions for flatulence, but these seem to me the most popular. A physician's wife wrote to us that her husband's serious gas problem was solved when he followed the advice of a Hungarian masseuse. 1 tablespoon of flaxseed powder in a glass of juice twice daily with 2 capsules of fennel seed 2 to 3 times daily. So 1 tablespoon of flaxseed powder in a glass of juice twice a day, together with 2 capsules of fennel seed 2 or 3 times a day. Others have reported good results following a cup of fennel seed tea 2 or 3 times a day. Crush a teaspoonful of fennel seeds slightly before pouring the boiling water over them. Others report that caraway seeds are equally beneficial, steeped in hot water and sipped as a tea. So there's about 3 different ways that flatulence don't have to be a problem. Wart plaster for splinters. Oh man, there's some good stuff. Wart plaster for splinters. Here's another doctor-recommended home remedy. Russell Copeland, medical doctor, wrote about his use in the Journal of American Academy of Dermatology. He suggests, adhering a tiny piece of salicylic acid plaster, the kind used to treat warts, over a small splinter for 12 hours. Within a few days, the splinter should have worked its way out and be able to pull itself. All right. Oh no. I'm going to skip this one. I'm going to skip that one. Not that it wouldn't be a good one, but we're going to keep things rated G and not go X by using, talking about that, okay? I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to skip the next one, and we're going to jump down to chewing gum for ear infection. Who would ever imagine that chewing gum could prevent ear infections? Yet, furnished pediatricians have reported that children who chew gum made with sugar, xylitol, 2 pieces 5 times daily, had a 40% fewer ear infections. Xylitol, known also as birch sugar, is found in birch trees, raspberries, plums, strawberries. Studies published in the Journal of Pediatrics and the British Medical Journal show that xylitol prevents the growth of bacteria that causes ear infections. The only drawback: too much sugarless gum can cause diarrhea. You can find xylitol containing gum mints or granules at Remedy This Naturally. It says your local health food store. And I just thought I'd tell you where it was, 1140 Benvenue Road. So xylitol, very good stuff. Chew gum with xylitol in it and help with chewing gum for ear infection. You know, it's amazing. Chew gum, you use xylitol, and it affects the ear in a positive way. That's cool. And then this one, to me, I wasn't familiar with this one. Valerian for stage fright. People that are just humble, don't want to get out in front of folks. Anyone who has ever had to give a talk in front of a large audience knows that anxiety can be paralyzing. One woman had to give up a career as a musician because her stage fright was incapacitating. Even after years of therapy and practicing relaxation techniques, she was unable to perform in public. On her own, she discovered the value of valerian. She takes it the evening before an engagement so she can sleep, and then she takes a booster dose accompanied by 15 minutes of meditation just before she plays. So by taking valerian, help the body to relax. And she takes a evening before an engagement, and then the night of the engagement, 15 minutes with meditation before she starts to play, just to get the body to get things in order. Folks, it's been my pleasure as we wrap up here for the last minute of our show. The concept of Claiborne Holtzman and Remedy This Naturally is to keep alive God's pharmacy. That we can understand that we can use what man has made, but we also have to understand what most of the things man has made are coming from a plant-based derivative that God has created in the Garden of Eden. And from the Garden of Eden, that has the same number of vitamins and minerals, or the minerals I should say, that we have in our body, in the plant source, in the soil, that we need it to help us have a better quality of life naturally. I thank God for loving us enough to give us recipes that are home remedies and herbs to be able to be part of our healing. I challenge you to become an expert in what God has to offer in the natural approach. I'm Claiborne Holtzman. Remedy This Naturally is waiting to see you. Check out that place that sells food inside there. It's more than a deli. Yeah, check it out. Remedy This Naturally, 1140 Bienvenue Road. It's been a great being your host. Take care, God bless, and may good health be yours naturally.